The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning. This is David Peary. I'm a project manager at TRC. Welcome to the 2019 program launch of Energy Upgrade California Multifamily. It's 10 o'clock, so let's get started. Today's recording will be posted to our website at sdmultifamilyeuc.com. So if anyone in your organization missed it and would like to see it, it will be available. Everyone is in listen-only mode. If you have any questions, please type them into the questions pane on GoToWebinar. It's on the right-hand side of your screen. Our agenda today is to do a quick overview of what Energy Upgrade California Multifamily is all about. We'll give an update on the program team for the year. A few changes to lighting calculations, pretty straightforward, but we have the answers to some things we've been discussing over the last few webinars. Program resources, our calendar, next steps, documents we need from raters that will be participating, and a reminder on data security. So the Energy Upgrade California Multifamily Program is considered a whole building performance program. We use Energy Pro to model an existing multifamily building with the as-is conditions, and then we work in various energy efficiency improvements into that model, and we are looking for a 10% minimum overall savings, estimated energy savings from that model to qualify for incentives. The incentives are tiered. We have a program fact sheet, and I uploaded that as a handout to the GoToWebinar. So if you look in the control panel, that might have hit itself on the right-hand side, same place where you'll see the question pane. You should also see a handout pane, and if you'd like to download the fact sheet right now, you could click there. The fact sheet's also available on our website. That gives a little idea of the type of measures we're frequently looking at. These would be appliance replacements like refrigerators, low-flow shower heads, and faucet aerators. Some HVAC measures. The thing we see the most and is kind of a big hitter down in the San Diego region is domestic hot water improvements, either replacing old water heaters, adding controls to those water loops that are recirculating loops that are common in multifamily buildings. And we can also do things such as attic insulation, window replacements. Pretty much we're using that energy model. If we can put the energy savings in the model, there's a good chance it's something that we could cover. As I mentioned, I'm David Peary. I will be managing the program this year. Very fortunate to be in this position. Cheryl Lacombe, who was managing the program last year, she continues to be involved and will be providing program oversight. If you know Cheryl or have worked with Cheryl in the past, certainly feel free to reach out to her. My contact information will be at the end as well. Ritesh continues as our technical lead. Raters will be working closely with him on reviewing energy models, and any of your technical questions that are specific to a project, Ritesh would be your go-to person, and certainly connect with me if it's a program-related question. And I'd also like to introduce Jude Carr. She's our program support specialist here in the Encinitas office with me. So welcome, Jude. I mentioned that there'll be a change to the way we calculate lighting. Our Energy Upgrade California program is considered a custom program, but one exception to that will be lighting. The PUC has made some rulings over the past few years on how incentive programs, Energy Upgrade California included, calculate lighting savings. So instead of using the modeled energy savings as we would with other measures, lighting kind of takes a separate track, and we've developed our SDGenie has developed a spreadsheet tool for us to use. I have some screenshots. It's a simple 3-tab workbook where you would put in your existing lighting or your lighting improvements to get the energy savings that will be counted. If you play around with this, you'll notice that the lighting savings are quite a bit lower than what we've used in the past, but the good news is we're still able to recognize some of those savings and count those savings towards our incentive tiers. This spreadsheet will be available on SharePoint, and I will cover SharePoint in just a few minutes. Some program resources. We, of course, have our website I mentioned earlier, where this webinar will be recorded and posted to. You'll be able to find the fact sheet, which I've also provided in the handout page, but that resides on our website. There's also multiple case studies, including 2 relatively new case studies that are in a video format. They're about 2 minutes long. They're on YouTube. You can find them on our website. And those have been kind of exciting because instead of a static handout, which kind of has some limitations intrinsic of that format, the case studies are in this video format. They're accessible to everyone, and really something that property managers can use to highlight the improvements that they've done to their property in a format that's conventional, recognizable, and attractive to potential and existing residents. We also have a SharePoint site that we've used in the past. We've made some updates to it. On the SharePoint site, we've posted the program's policies and procedures. That is the official documentation on how the program works that all raters will want to be familiar with. We have another document, our modeling guidelines, which goes into details of how to use Energy Pro. And then also some rater-specific folders for qualifications, and I'll go over those documents in just a second. And then we also use SharePoint as our secure manner to transfer project files. So the rater qualification documents that I'll go over in a second, they're not just available there, the forms themselves, but also the place to send them back to us in a secure manner as opposed to using email. And then when we start projects, we're obviously touching a lot of customer sensitive data, and we don't want to be sending those via email. So we use SharePoint for that. To get access to SharePoint, since we've made some updates, some that are on the call may have had access in the past, but since things have moved around, if you're not able to find, if you're trying to use your old login, you might get blocked out, and then certainly any new raters that are on the call and interested in getting involved will need to have access to this. So I request that you send me an email. It's on your screen, sdmultifamily@trcsolutions.com. That email goes to me, and once I hear that you need access to these documents, I'll provide access to that, and you'll get an email with a username and password to log in. You can also call our toll-free number if that's easier for you. Another resource to make note of is SDG&E's single point of contact, otherwise known as the SPOC. Henry De Jesus, he is involved with all the multifamily energy efficiency offerings at SDG&E, Energy Upgrade California being just one of several energy efficiency programs in the SDG&E portfolio that could be applicable to a multifamily building. We run the gamut of small garden style communities to high rises. There's a lot of other programs that might be specific to one technology or a specific situation. And Henry would be the person to contact. I'm in close contact with him. Sometimes he identifies projects that are good for our program. Sometimes I identify programs that are not a good fit for Energy Upgrade California, but could still be served with some incentive programs of SDG&E. His phone number is on the screen, and you can also reach him via email at multifamily@sdgne.com. We are a month and a half into 2019, and as the title of the webinar is a kickoff, we are hot in pursuit of enrolling new projects. We have a finite budget as always and just a few spots, but we have those spots are still available, and now would be the time to contact me to get the ball rolling. Going forward, in March and April, that's when we'd expect to see the modeling and analysis done. In many circumstances, some of that has already been done, but a pretty clear line that the program designates is, have improvements been implemented and installed or not? Through the program, we definitely want to demonstrate influence on the scope of work of any given project. So until the program application and reservation letters are issued, you wouldn't want to move forward with the installation of any energy measures. That would come probably in the May and through September timeframe, and then the last quarter of the year will be spent closing out projects. The program has been going on for several years. We very much expect it to come to an end at a very hard stop, December 31st of this year. In the past, some projects were allowed to roll over into the next year, but we do not anticipate that being the case as it has been in the past. I just want to make that really clear that we'll have that hard stop at the end of December. For immediate next steps, on SharePoint, we provide a pre-qualification form. It's a front page, back page PDF that collects basic information about a building: name, address, phone number, system type, possible improvements, to give us a place to start a conversation with a potential community. Once we have that form, again, it's available on SharePoint. It's something that anyone is able to collect and submit. The next step would be to take a little bit deeper dive into the details that are found on that pre-qual form by screening the applicant. And our preference would be that a rater is already identified at this time. Sometimes it's hard to work with a building applicant that does not already have a rater lined up to do the modeling, since that rater is hired directly from the program applicant. And as such, they have some skin in the game. We also work with you, our raters, to help us determine at the very get-go if the community has the potential to reach the minimum 10% energy savings that's required for participation. Of course, we don't have an energy model by that time, so we're looking at things at a high level when we're screening the applicant. But assuming everything looks good and the customer is ready to get going, and we can be assured that the results of an audit and building an energy model are going to pay off, we would collect a project application. And that's a contract between the program and the applicant, and allows us to earmark funds and keep that project in our pipeline. The final step would be a reservation letter, which will formally reserve funds for that project that are later paid out after implementation. So where are we starting? Pre-qualification form, a conversation to screen the building with the rater and applicant, and then the project application. I'll make note that the reservation letter is something that the program provides, so you won't find a copy of that on SharePoint, but the pre-qual form and the project application are on SharePoint. Many raters we've worked with in the past, so you're familiar with these forms. If you're a new rater to the program, these are the forms for both that we need to collect. Even if you've participated in the past, we need updated forms for 2019. Those three documents are the 2019 rater agreement. It's available on SharePoint. The certificate of insurance for your organization, and also HERS and BPI certificates for those that will be conducting the building audits and building the energy models. More details on what type of certifications are accepted are included in the policies and procedures manual that is on SharePoint. I mentioned we'd like to do a quick reminder on data security. I think this is a kind of a general reminder, probably something you're familiar with at your organization already, but any customer sensitive data, including account numbers, addresses, probably best to send those documents via SharePoint. If you have any question if something's potentially sensitive or confidential, definitely use SharePoint. Email is inherently an insecure environment, and we do not want to be victims of identity theft or data getting out there in the world that should not be out there. So emails are fine for quick updates and coordinating meetings, but if you have a spreadsheet or Energy Pro files, things like that that are a lot of files are too big for email, definitely use SharePoint. That's why it's set up. Any questions for me? My contact information is on the screen, dpeary@trcsolutions.com. Please make note that my last name has 2 E's in it and 1 R, D-P-E-E-R-Y, and my direct phone number to my desk and our website again. If you have any questions, please type them into the question panes now. We have plenty of time for Q&A. Our first question is, when are updated rater certification materials due? I don't have a hard start date, but sooner than later. The latest would be before we start a project. So if you have a project in mind and something maybe we've discussed already and it looks like we've identified it as a real project that's going to materialize, it's at that point we would want to have all that material available. I would not suggest submitting that documentation with just the hope that a project's going to come up in 3 or 4 months. While some participants contact the program directly to get involved, the vast majority come through raters based on your own marketing work for the program. Your existing relationships are tantamount to a successful project as well. So again, I would hold off on submitting those documents unless we have a viable project in front of us. Any other questions? All right, great. Well, I think that's a wrap. If you have any other questions that come to mind, please feel free to reach out to me directly. I look forward to another successful year. Thank you for attending the EUC 2019 program launch. Have a great day. Goodbye.